Yeah,
Who are we going to?
I want to go to Jay in Missouri. Jay.
Hey, guys. Hey, Eric, David,
Hey.
how are you today?
Hey, Jay.
Good.
Awesome. Hey,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, start off by saying, David, I really appreciate you. I'm a theist. I'm a believer. But I really appreciate the perspective that you are putting out there with, how important every day is. I think atheists, theists alike, we should all agree, or we should all be able to agree that every single day is a gift, one way or the other, and that we really do need to live our lives that way. So I really do appreciate that message that you're putting out there.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
That's very nice.
What would you like to talk about?
Well, I wanted to hopefully try to build a bridge a little bit between atheists and theists. I know that might seem like an odd concept, but
were you on the line when Dean called?
Absolutely, yeah.
We're working on it, man. Come on. All right, what's up, brother?
Well, I think I have something to add to that.
Cool.
So I've been watching Atheist Experience Talk Heathen for a few months now.
Okay.
Really appreciate the dialogue and so forth.
Rock on.
But really had a thought, and see where you guys come down on this. But basically my thought was about rationality.
Okay.
And the thought processes of logic and, using the tools of logic that you always talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about human beings and how we're really set up and how we operate.
Yeah.
And it seems like when it comes down to it, rationality is one main tool that we use, but there's another tool, and that's emotional intelligence and instinct.
Okay,
Do you guys agree with that?
Or you're talking about EQ.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah. So I would like to help define this a little bit, and it's a bit of an aside, but I promise it does have a purpose.
Okay.
So there's a study. It's called hermeneutics. Are you aware of hermeneutics?
I am very much.
If you would like to describe hermeneutics, it's probably better coming from a Christian than me. Would you like to describe it for the people watching?
Yeah, I'll just try to break it down, basically.
And exegesis, obviously.
Okay. It's a broad way of looking at things so that you can make quicker, more efficient decisions where you kind of categorize things. Does that sound accurate?
Not quite, actually. So what I get from hermeneutics, and you might be talking about something that I'm just not aware of, but hermeneutics is the study of text to better understand. So let's say you are going through a historical record and there are references to something that you don't know what it is. Right. It's the same way in pop culture. We're always referencing shit. We've been doing that forever. And if we're reading about a culture that we never knew, there are references to things that we don't understand. And so as you learn more, maybe you finally figure it out. Oh, that's what it is. I'm going to take that information and I'm going to plug it back in so that I can have a more, clear understanding of what that is, right?
Sure. That makes sense.
And so I could do this, let's say in, 2,000 years from today, Spider-Man was dug up. And it turns out there was a Spider-Man and he lived in New York, right?
Right.
We can learn a lot about the actual world by going through it because we could learn about the political climate and the culture and the way people treated each other. We can learn a whole lot about the society, right? But it didn't actually prove that Spider-Man was real.
Sure.
But it did help. And so it just didn't help with that specific thing. And so when you talk about the difference between IQ and EQ, I think emotional intelligence is an incredibly important thing. And I would never disparage it. But I don't think it enters in when you're talking about things that you use logic and reason for necessarily. I mean, there are sometimes people...
Can I break in here?
Yeah, please.
Because I think this is probably where we might disagree a little bit, because basically what I've found in some of my research is human beings make a lot of decisions that don't involve a lot of information. Like we're usually lacking information. Like we'll make a decision because you have to make decisions to live your life effectively.
Sure.
In order to do that, you can't sit down and break down everything, hours and hours of information, crunch the numbers. It's just not practical.
Yeah, sure.
So most of the time we make our decisions, we have to make a decision with a big question mark in the equation.
Always.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do the best on the information we have.
I would say as a skeptic,
Exactly.
as a skeptic, you can't come to 100% knowledge about anything.
Right, because we're always looking for a better answer.
Exactly. But you still have to live your day. You have to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to base that on something. So if you're lacking the information, you can't just put yourself in a holding pattern for your whole life.
Right.
And especially on the big questions, we're talking about God, existence of God.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to know 100% one way or the other.
Right.
But we have to operate our lives based on one choice or the other.
Well,
you're describing my life was what you're doing, and that's what I did. As a young man, I put my faith in Jesus and lived that way for the better part of 3.5 decades. And so I gave it all I had, and then I got better information. And so once I got better information... Well, what you consider is better information.
actually...
Well, no, it's not just what I consider. It's information that I considered important. It wasn't just an opinion that I came to, or I didn't just wake up one day and said, oh, well, fuck you, God, I'm done with you. It was a long, laborious process of discovery of origins of the Bible and Christian history and those kind of things. But my point is, I was doing what you said, and I was basing my belief in God on the best information I had at the time, but I hadn't done the research that I should have done on such an important issue. I was doing what Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. And that is my life.
Right.
I'm doing better now.
I guess my question, we're talking about the rational evaluation of a theist belief that you were making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about the emotional side, the instincts that you had? I mean, any powerful experiences?
My instincts were wrong.
During that
That's
time?
my point. I was basing it on instincts and emotional intelligence, and I came to see that my instincts were wrong. I had limited information or bad information, and I was basing big things on those instincts. And I think the rational thing to do, and like Eric said, as skeptics, when we recognize that our instincts are wrong, we don't just double down on it and say, well, I'm already this far in, I might as well finish out. I've got, the sunk cost fallacy. I've got most of my life in this thing. I might as well just,
forge ahead.
grin and bear it. Hell no. Whatever life I've got left, I'm gonna change my perspective on it, because I realized and I admitted. I mean, it's a hard thing to do, to wake up after 35 years and say, wow, I was really wrong. I was wrong about that. And it's not easy to say you were wrong when it cost you a lot, which it did me.
Hey, Jay?
Right.
I'd like
would you say that...
Could I ask you a quick question? I'm sorry. I know that we're both jumping in on you, but we're both excited to have to talk to you about this. So please, I'm not trying to stomp in, but did you want to respond before I jumped in?
Well, I was just going to say, I was just going to ask a question to David. What created the instinct that he had for 35 years? If he was going by instincts, what was it
that's begging the question.
His instincts to go that way?
That's begging the question, Jay. What you're doing is we can probably not beg the question, and if you did that, then you would probably come up to a different conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really would like to ask is, it seems like you're putting a whole lot of stock in EQ and gut instincts, and there's a place and time for that in the same way that there's a place and a time for hermeneutics. I'm saying that gut instincts don't reliably get you to truth, and I bet you don't either. And here's the example. Dave.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you like bacon?
Love it.
Absolutely. So should I have bacon every day, all day?
Every day, yes.
God damn it, Dave.
No. You should only do what you feel like you should do. No.
Well, it's not healthy.
No.
It's not healthy. And
it's not?
No. Well,
Oh.
you don't have to worry.
Okay, I don't really.
Yeah,
Not my problem.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think bacon's going to be what
I
takes
eat all
you
the
out,
bacon
buddy.
I want, man.
Right?
I eat all the anything
Please
I want.
do.
I
Please
do.
eat extra bacon
yeah.
for me. But for the rest of us, Jay, you're not making your dietary decisions based on gut instinct. You're not making your dietary decisions on
Or you shouldn't,
how you
is what he's
feel.
saying, right?
No, I'm not proposing an argument to make 100% of your decisions based on instinct and emotional.
Well, I'm not even talking about 100%. I very rarely ever make 100% statements.
That's dangerous.
I even said very rarely.
Yeah. You didn't say never.
I would say 50-50 is probably a more balanced approach to life.
I would say that is terrifying.
Mm-hmm. That'll get you in a lot of trouble.
We're left brain, right brain creatures, and there's a reason why we have the left brain and the right brain.
Wait, hold on. There's a reason. Do you know what begging the question is?
You
don't have to. That's fine. I want to help give you tools. I'm not trying to be a
do anything. Yeah.
So I absolutely fucked something up last week, and now I'm.
You've gotten better information, and you've changed.
Well, I'm gun shy.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous about fucking it up. I'm bringing up the actual definition.
Good. See, that's what skeptics do.
Begging the question, sometimes known by its Latin name, not trying that, is a logical fallacy in which the writer or speaker assumes the statement under examination to be true. In other words, begging the question involves using a premise to support itself. If the premise is questionable, then the argument is bad. And so when you say we have a reason for a left brain, if that reason is because the process of change over time, created a complex central nervous system over millions of years, by which we kind of grew this, to what we are, I would agree.
Right.
But if you're going to say we have a brain because God gave it to us, that's begging the question.
I'm not making that argument at all.
Okay, so what is the reason for us having a brain?
You think because it's useful. There's a useful reason that it helps us function in the world that we live in.
Right.
Well, I think we might be putting the cart before the horse, but that's just going to be my own nitpick. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so here's another, let's look at the other extreme. Let's say we made all of our decisions 100% rationally.
I don't do 100%.
That would be 93. A terrible way to live as well. And there's a proof of that with, they've had AI create financial proposals heading into the 2008 financial crisis, and AI got it wrong.
Jay?
And said that can never happen.
I like to think that I try to be an example of skepticism. I try to live as an example, and I don't always do it. But do you think I lack EQ or lack using the appropriate tool as necessary? I'm not Spock. I think you might be building I think you might be building a straw man. I think there might be.
I'm not trying to say rationality is terrible.
No. I don't think you're trying to say it's terrible.
You are 100% rational. I'm just saying that life requires a balance, and I would encourage anyone listening today not to hang your hat completely on rationality. I think that's a mistake that some people do make. I'm not saying you make that mistake.
Well, I actually disagree with you.
Okay.
Because if it is a tool that is useful at the time, right? I'm not talking about, your preferences. I'm talking about whether or not you should break the law. I'm not talking about, something that we can debate over philosophically, that we can. I'm talking about everyday things, the fact that gravity exists, the fact that, if we do, X dangerous behavior, that we run the risk of suffering that consequence. And so when you're using those tools rationally, you are able to have a better life, and you absolutely should. Now, should we ever come to 100%? We can't. Everything's done on degrees of confidence. And so I have a degree of confidence that this is why. Well, why do I have that degree of confidence? I go into, what information I have that's supplied that. In what situation would you pit rationality against emotion and have emotion be the clear, better?
I can give you a couple.
Give me your best.
Picking a mate.
Okay, so
Got some
My
reaction
love-
from the crowd.
My love life says you are wrong. I have dated some women who were bad for me because I thought they were great.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
Jay.
I'm saying
this anecdotal
you
evidence.
don't normally pick the person that's on paper best for you. You don't normally pick that person, and that might not be the best person for you. There's
But it
other
might be.
elements involved.
It
Could be.
It's very
but most of the
anecdotal.
time
I mean,
it's not.
that's not something to base some kind of a formula on. I mean, that's just hit or
I would
miss.
say if you let's broaden it out. Let's say if you walked up to 100 couples on the street and asked them on paper, was this person the perfect person for you on paper?
I wouldn't ask
How many
that.
would say yes?
I would not ask that because I don't believe there's perfection.
No, that's so binary. I mean, that's not how.
You're
that's not how-
overanalyzing.
No. Well, but here's the thing: is
You're
what
underanalyzing.
what you're trying to get to is more absolutes.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you absolutes, and so
Okay,
if you want
I'm not an absolute person either.
okay,
So what I'm saying is a couple isn't necessarily the sum of their two parts. It's like if on paper you might say that this person belongs with this person, but those two people might end up hating each other, and then you could find two people that are completely different. That they would have never thought on paper that it would have made sense, but it works out amazingly.
Well, I'll make. I'd like to give you my definition of this. My definition of these relationships, these connections that we make, and it's not necessarily romantic. I have a friendship with Dave.
Yes.
And I don't think I'm wholly unique. I think I have a set of qualities that lies within a bell curve, and that there are plenty of people like me. And Dave, do you think that you are so unique that nobody has been in your situation, or that we might be uniquely unlovable or uniquely, tasked with something that other people haven't to some degree gone through? No. We are both wholly not unique.
Right.
But let me tell you something,
Right.
Jay. The shared experiences that we have, those things that we go through together, that does forge something that I do think is unique. And
Absolutely.
that's fantastic.
Yes.
And I think that along that way, there are decisions that you have to make, and you have to have the right tools for it. But there is nowhere where rationality is needed that you should pick emotion over it.
No, I don't think they're in contrast or in competition with one another.
No, they just have
Yeah, I
different
don't think
realms
so either.
in the same way as hermeneutics. Well, I'm glad you agree. If you have anything else you wanted to call about, feel free to
Good to
call in
talk to you,
another
Jay.
time. But that was good.
Absolutely great talking to you guys too.
Okay, man.
Good talking
Take
to
care.
you. Take care. I don't think you realize he absolutely agreed with the opposite of what he called in.
I know. I don't know. I don't really. Yeah, it was puzzling. We just kept coming back to that, and I'm thinking, okay, that's exactly what we're saying here.
No, but he got there.
Yeah. So.
I'm very proud.
Yeah.